Hello and welcome to Noni, Yanga's flagship talk show where we discuss all the hot topics. Today's a Noni special, looking back at the best bits of the series. Now you guys at home know that we like to get straight down to business here. And when it comes to relationships, we don't hold back.
I remember there was a time where I was like, Mum, I just don't think I can do this anymore when I was in a relationship. And my mum was like, forget about the love. Do you think your heart is always going to be doing do-dun, do-dun, do-dun? And in my head I was thinking, Mum, my heart needs to be doing do-dun, do-dun, do-dun. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so in Africa, I believe that they don't really value the word love. It's all about, you know, what is morally right in their eyes. Whereas for me, I need to be with someone that I love because this is the rest of my life.
I feel like it's really important to just let everybody know that everyone has their own personal milestones. For me, I think it's very important to just, you know, like you said, people need to get over. We fart, we go to the toilet. When you're living with someone, you get married to someone.
Yourself.
Okay, I fart. I do number twos. In fact, funny story, I run out. Sorry. No, do you know what? It's so funny because I went on a date with a guy one time and I actually said to him, I don't know, I just randomly said it. I felt very comfortable. Do you know what? I need to go and do a number two.
Oh my gosh!
Sorry, too much information.
Let's hear
But
what happened.
I said, oh, I don't know, I ate something. I was like, oh, sugar, I need to go to that. And he was like, oh. And I was really surprised. We had a discussion about it. It's like, look, it's natural.
Oh my God!
You said it on the
didn't
date.
see it again, did you? No, I did. It was funny, but it was a lot for him to take in. I was like, just get over it. Like, I know you do it.
Yeah.
And there was another time when my friend was on the phone to a guy she liked, and he was actually on the toilet doing a number two whilst they were talking. So you could hear him go, like... Oh. Sorry, but I felt like that when she told me that I was like, oh wow, he's really, you know, confident. And that's a
Lola, I
milestone.
think we know the kind of guys that you're into. Please get in touch if you're into it too. What is it about black women and the cray-cray thing? You know, have you done anything crazy in love? Crazy in love?
I don't believe it's black women. I believe women are crazy. We are crazy. That's it.
Speak for yourself,
No, when it comes to love, we allow our emotions to cloud our judgment and we do crazy things. Like, I've witnessed it, I've been there, done that. Like, I know.
What have you done?
Like, I've done some crazy stuff. I can't
say it.
I
Can't say it at 9:30 in the morning. What about you, Avia? Are you brave enough to admit to anything crazy you've done in love?
Do you know what? I have done a few things. I'm going to tell you one of the less crazy stories. So this was when I was like maybe 17, 18.
Yeah.
And I was
legal.
Yeah, thank God. And I was dating this guy who was a skateboarder. He was like a pro skateboarder. That was his job.
Okay.
This is back in Glasgow in the early years. And I decided that I too was going to become a pro skateboarder. Of course I was. Because I really wanted...
That's part of the love. This is the love,
yeah. And I really wanted him to stay interested in me. So I also tried to learn how to become a skateboarder. I was absolutely terrible. Like, I was awful. And then he was sponsored by this big brand, and he broke his wrist and then lost his sponsorship, and then I dumped him.
Oh my God, Afia! How common is it in the dating scene to find men that do have children? You said you kind of avoid them.
Yeah, people that I interact with do not tend to have children. Yeah. I have met one or two guys that have had children, and once he told me he had a child, I kind of just stopped talking to him, just because, like I said, I'm young, I'm just not trying to... It's going to put a strain on the relationship to an extent, especially if the relationship with his baby mama isn't too great.
What if you really liked him, you know? You don't know...
I wouldn't get to that stage. Do you understand?
Hey,
I feel like...
you know what you want.
I know what I want, exactly. And I ask certain questions before I get to a point where I let myself open up to you. So if I do ask you, this is definitely a question I would be asking you. Like, do you have a child? Are you even single? Do you understand? Because
first question.
That's the first
Are you
question.
even single?
Are you even single? Because a lot of men just be...
You didn't ask me 6 months later, did you ask me if I was married?
And he will tell you that. Men do those kind of things.
This is me, and if you don't love me for me as I am, then it's not going to happen. Yeah. And I really don't believe that you should change for anyone. You should change your religion, change your size, change your socks. I just don't think you should have to do it. That's part of being in love with someone, and part of loving them is loving them exactly how they are. You can sort of mould a person to become better, but my mum always said to me, you can never change a man. So find someone that you don't want to change.
Dalton, because you haven't, you say you haven't been in love, but you thought you were in love. Yeah. Are you scared of falling in love?
Oh, definitely. I have commitment issues, trust issues, because I just feel like dating these days it's really taken a negative turn. People are dating for the wrong reasons and all of that. And I want to get married once. I don't want to ever get a divorce or anything. So I want to get it right. So if I know that I'm not really in love, I'm not going to pursue it or get into a relationship. I don't want to get into a relationship just for the sake of it, just for Instagram goals. I want to make sure it's something real and something that would last forever.
Well, we all do when we get into it. Let's give a scenario then.
Okay.
You know, ex for a couple of years. You know, she dumped him
Right.
because she was traveling overseas. She's back in town.
Okay.
You know, can they meet for coffee?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. That shocked you, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, because you have to, if there's an issue with that, the issue lies with you, I believe, absolutely 100% with you, rather than your partner and the ex. He's with you now, like, say it's me, he's with me now for a reason. They're not together for a reason. And I think you have to be able to trust him.
She was out of town, but she's back.
Listen. I think you have to be able to trust him and be able to trust yourself that you believe in the relationship enough. And I think if you put your foot down and come across like you can't see her, it's only going to go against you.
Yeah, gosh, but you'd be out the window, wouldn't you? You'd be on your phone.
I'm going to go with it. I'm going to be at another table in a different wig. Like, I'm going to be there. But I think you've got to
But
be
you
able
allow
to
it.
give him
You'll
a bit
allow
of-
it to happen.
Yeah, let him out on a leash, right? And you've got to be able to trust him. And I think, I mean, I'm not friends with any of my exes. There's not been that many. And my partner is friends with some of his, and I'm okay with that.
Okay, Esther, what about you?
I'm the opposite. An ex is an ex for a reason, one. Though I think it, like, given the scenario of being with someone for a couple of years, etc., I feel like when you get into another relationship, there has to be some form of compromise. Part of that compromise is if you do have a relationship with your ex-friend or your ex-girlfriend, things like going out to coffee is off the market because you're now in a relationship with me.
Same for me. It's dangerous.
It's dangerous. And do you know what it is? My mum always says, if you give someone an inch, they can take a mile. So you are almost opening the door for something to go wrong. And for me, I'm not saying you don't trust your partner, because you may as well trust him, but you need to also remember, before you came along, there was that woman in his life. So don't get it twisted. I believe, like I always say, like, if, for example, female friends with my with a partner that you're dating, I agree with that, because that friend's got to become my friend.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
But for your ex, your ex can't become my friend. It's not going to work.
Are you surprised that it's quite common that there are so many people? You know, we were discussing this when we were researching it, and most were like, yeah, of course. You know, they agreed with Fia. Yeah, of course you can be friends with your ex. Are you surprised that some people are that open, or are they pretending?
They're pretending.
No, I honestly think it depends on why the relationship ended. Like, I believe you can be friends with your ex, but I'm not friends with any of my ex because of why the relationships ended. So it all depends on the relationship in question. Why did the relationship end? But for the example you gave her, you guys were typically in love and she moved away and she's back now. Why are you having lunch? For what? This is someone you were in love with, and it's not because you broke up because of distance. So you can easily, now she's back. So it's very easy for you to go back into that relationship. So there's no need for any kind of lunch.
Like the devil's
No need for no date. I will be there.
The devil is knocking at the door, basically.
Yeah. And the devil is a liar.
The devil is knocking.
Closed.
Door is
The
closed.
door is closed.
The door is closed.
Still to come, we bring you an exclusive interview with the one and only Coco Mombassi. Plus, we revisit the crazy world of social media. See you after the break. Welcome back to the Best of Noni. Now, our guests are a gobby bunch, and when it comes to social media, they've got a lot to say.
If you take away social media, if you take away your platform, do you still stand for something? Will people still recognize you? A dog could have an Instagram page.
Many do, many do.
20,000 followers. Is that dog famous?
Would you be able to have a mobile phone detox, and can you understand the benefits of something like that?
I can understand the benefits of it, but I don't know if I can do it straight. I will have to mentally prepare myself, like a whole month. Okay, I'm going on holiday, warning everyone, you know what, I might not be available, but it's okay.
So no detoxing for
No,
you?
not for now.
You know how social media works. They'll try and dig things up about you.
Yes, yes.
And my account I wouldn't say it got hacked, but someone that was in the community must have noticed that it was me, and then they went to go and screenshot it and pass it on to a someone that's well known in social media. I'm not going to say he's well known in the music industry, and he posted it on his Twitter, and it went viral. Do you understand? And it was nude pictures. Nude pictures of me before and after.
Before and after surgery.
Yeah, before and after surgery, and it had
awful.
I think it had I should have gone to Letitia Grace, because she's a public figure as well, for advice about where I got my cosmetic surgery done.
When you saw those pictures instantly, did you feel that I shouldn't have posted this?
Do you know what? Instantly, when I first saw it, it was more like, you know, you have 1,000 things going through your head. It might be like, oh my gosh, like, how
rage,
it was
regret, anger,
rage,
sadness.
regret. How the hell did they get it? You know, those are the things. How did they get it? How did they find me? Who would do such a thing? Why would they do that? What have I ever done to him? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, of course, there's a heap of emotions that come over me.
But not regret.
But not regret, because you know why? It's made me who I am today.
We all know Maya Jama.
Absolutely, I'm a huge fan of Maya Jama, but I was very disappointed by those tweets, regardless of if it was 5 years ago. I just feel like it's down to morals. Like, I was trained in a way, like, there's just certain things you don't say. Do you understand? I'm never, ever going to come for disabled people or, you know...
A girl with a bit of melanin.
Yeah. You know, some of those things, I can't believe she actually said it. Whether she was 16 or not, I just feel like, you know, we have morals and there's just personal restraints.
Let me just read it just to remind you guys. Dark-skinned bees shaving their head, expecting to look like Amber Rose, when really they end up looking like Michael Jordan.
I think if a white person said it, it would have been an outrage.
Yeah.
But because she's light-skinned, we give her the blight. But like, let's look at what she said about disabilities.
That's
unacceptable.
wrong.
Now, we've had some of the brightest, boldest and strongest women on the Noni panel. And while I was away, Lola had the pleasure of talking to Coco Mombasi about her music career and plans for the future.
Today we are joined by the incredibly talented, award-winning musician Coco Mombasi. Coco, it's so good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you. It's sunny in London. So.
Yes, and you look very well.
Thank you.
Now, Coco, when we hear your name, first of all, we love your name, Coco, but we also think about how amazing your music is. You've been in the industry for years, produced some timeless classics. And I just want you to talk about your journey as a musician, being based here because you were born and raised in France.
Yes.
I believe, and you relocated
to the UK 15 years ago.
15 years ago.
Yes.
So I just actually, before we get into the main bit of our interview, how was it like moving from France to the UK, and how has that helped you musically?
Well, it's quite different. Paris had this eclectic world music scene where there's a lot of fusion between genres. So you would have North Africans with West Africans mixing together with hip hop and all that. And when I arrived in the UK, I just found that here things are sort of more partitioned, if I may say. So some people do juju, some people do reggae, some people do makossa, some people do. So it's really more separate. So I had to adapt to that. But it's a very vibrant scene, especially the jazz scene in the UK is very vibrant. I wish we could have more of sort of, you know, Nigerian origin, Cameroonian origin, Zambian origin music represented in London, because there's some pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah, it is. I mean, UK, definitely, there's so many sounds coming out of the UK. So if you had to pin down what exactly your sound is, what would you say it is?
Oh dear, it's like me, I'm a citizen of the world. But I'd say it has really deep African roots, but I like all sorts of styles and you can hear it. So a bit of classical, a bit of jazz, a bit of gospel. Yeah, so soul, all the soulful music styles basically.
Okay, so being here in the UK, how has it been like, the journey in terms of getting your music out there, producing your music? What would you say has been the challenge or the highlight?
Let's say the challenge is that as we moved to the UK, my husband and I, with our family, it just coincided with the shift from record labels to the internet. To the boom of all those platforms that we now know, you know, the Spotifys and the
YouTube.
Exactly, YouTube growing into what it's become now. So this meant I was an old timer in terms of the old artistic model where you just do your music and everybody else does everything else. And I've had to sort of shift my way of thinking to being more active online. My latest album, which was released in November 2014, had to be pushed by myself and my husband. So we have to learn, we're still learning, you know, to adapt to this new situation. So we moved to a new country and the music industry changed. So it was really quite a challenge.
Okay, we're going to talk about the whole social media aspect of music now, but what do you mean when you say you had to push the music out yourself. So you're an independent artist.
Now, yes. So
Now,
no record
before.
label anymore.
Okay.
Which means if you want PR, sorry, you have to hire a PR person and do it yourself, or do it yourself.
Okay.
You have to be more present on social media. I've started doing some videos online. So basically reaching out directly to fans is something I had to learn, rather than waiting to be on stage to say, hi guys, you know, coming with a camera in my face and saying, hi guys, this week I'm doing this new song, what do you think? So for example, I put an extract and say, can you guys tell me what title you see for this song? So engaging with people.
Yeah,
directly.
audience interaction.
Exactly.
I love that. Before we go further, we're just going to have a quick look at a clip of you in action with your beautiful voice. Let's
Thank
have a
you,
look.
that's lovely.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Sounds like a soundtrack.
Really? Well,
Yes, it
word
does.
out to all the TV people, feel
Exactly.
free to use it.
We need to get that on a film or a drama series
Yes,
or
please.
something.
Yeah.
But you know, I really do admire you, because being an independent artist or self-funded. In fact, actually, let me ask you, what would you say is the difference between being an independent artist and a self-funded artist?
So some artists would financially fund the recording and production of their album, but then leave the distribution to a record label. That's what we did for my first and second album. And then we moved to a fully independent career, which is that you handle everything. So you do everything, the photography, the actual, you know, CD or whatever, CD cover. You
And was
produce
that your
the music.
choice to move on from the label?
Yes and no. Yes, because labels were dying anyway unless you were signed with a major one. So you were giving away a lot of your rights, a high percentage for nothing really. So the shift came naturally.
So independent
Yes.
is the way to go.
Yes, but it's hard work.
It's hard work,
And
like
also,
you mentioned. Yeah.
I mean, the youngsters there, I'm not saying I'm old, but you know, the younger
You're not
people.
old. You're not old.
Thanks for that. But the people who are younger than me, who were born in this internet age, they are so wise, they're so savvy.
Like we mentioned before, you're a wonderful singer. Who would you say has influenced your career
Oh,
greatly?
so many people. I'm going to try to narrow it down a bit, but for vocals, I'd say Mahalia Jackson was one. A lot of the gospel greats. In Africa, I'm more influenced by the music than the vocals for some reason. So whether it's the music of Dina Bell, who's a Cameroonian artist that people might not know here, whether it's Fela, whether it's Americans like Stevie Wonder or Michael Jackson, classical music is a big one. I love Handel's Messiah. So I just absorb whatever comes. I don't care too much about labels, but if it sounds good, it sounds good.
And I've noticed that actually that African vocalists, they're more so known for their sort of sound as opposed to their vocals.
Yes.
And I mean, do you think that's an insult, so to speak? Because a lot of people think that, okay, they're not really that, and I disagree with this completely, they're not really that gifted when it comes to belching out, you know, songs, but they can, you know, do a little something. What do you have to say about that?
I think that's unfair. There's a lot of vocalists, African vocalists or African origin vocalists who are great singers. Maybe we don't necessarily fit the canon. So, for example, people see me, sort of full-bodied black woman, and they would think immediately soprano gospel. So it's the labels that people attach to us. And when I come out with what you've heard, which is sort of, I don't really shout, they're sort of a bit, oh, okay, so this is how you sing. I'm like, yes. So I think we have to break down all those
barriers. Like, it's just assumptions, right? That's what they think.
It is, but there are great, I mean, Miriam Makeba or Angelique Kidjo are African, you know?
Yes, exactly.
And you can't say anything about their vocals, so.
100%, and I'm glad that you're breaking down those barriers. So
I'm doing my best.
when it comes to songwriting,
yes.
like, do you have like a special routine? Do you sit down in a room with candles and you just think of stuff, or, you know, how do you actually get down into songwriting?
Generally like pajamas and the computer, more like. Sorry to bust the bubble.
No,
but yeah, there's a piano at home, but I play really badly. I mean, I've taught myself so I can compose, but don't look at my fingers for technique. And I also, because my husband was heavily involved in all the sort of computer music production, so putting the tracks down, over the years, I've learned to do that. So I'm able to sort of put my demo together myself, lay my ideas, which is really good because even if somebody else arranges or we call musicians, the idea is there. So they can follow a really clear path. So if you think lots of cups of tea, lots of frustration, pacing around, thinking about, a pen in the hair, kind of mad scientist, but artistically.
Sounds like me.
It's hard work, yeah. It's not glamorous, that part of the job. It's hard graft.
It's hard graft.
It's you die a bit every day when you decide this song is not good enough. I'm gonna just put it aside.
Scrap that and then start again.
Yeah.
Okay, wow, the life of a songwriter. Lastly, what is coming up next for you?
So last album was in November 2014. As I said, pushing it ourselves, promoting it ourselves was a learning curve. I'm starting to work on new material, so hopefully, God willing, by the end of next year, there'll be a new album. I'm trying to tune in to who I am now, middle-aged woman, this sort of mixture of who I am, African and European, who knows what I am. It doesn't matter, but just continuing to say, hey, this is me, do you like it or not? Let's share this piece of music.
Staying authentic.
Yes.
Exactly, and I love that. I love your core message. Thank you so much, Coco
Thanks
Mbasi,
very
for
much
coming
for having
down.
me.
Guys, honestly, it's been such a great series. And you can catch every single episode online at www.yangatv.com. Well, that's it from me, Juliana Oli Yinka. But guess what? I'm back in September. See you then.